my friends, and welcome to Hidden Scriptures Word Study Commentary number 190. This is where we get past the doctrines of men and learn what the Scriptures actually say. The title I have for today's word study is Crumbling the Stumbling Block of the Word Fulfill of Matthew 5:17. There is a stumbling block consisting of one single word that has infiltrated the minds of those claiming to be followers of the Messiah down through the centuries and continuing to the present day, which has resulted in them being dismissive of or have disdain and contempt and scorn for the word spoken by the Father to Moses, to Moshe, for him to record and teach to the people. The very words that our Jewish Messiah himself loved and taught his followers then and now the deeper meanings of. As a result of this single word stumbling block, the types of Christians that we are surrounded by today have a lifestyle that is devoid of obedience to much of the Father's instructions, teachings, and directions in righteousness that he has set in place and established for his people to live by, for the purpose of causing them to be righteous and to be distinct from all the other people groups of the world, which identifies them as being his people. The Father wants his people to be righteous. The Father wants his people to be in right standing with himself. That's what righteousness is, being in right standing with the Father. And the Father wants his people to be distinct from all the other people groups of the world. Okay, so let's start crumbling this one word stumbling block that keeps followers of our Jewish Messiah bound up in their old nature and lifestyle of sin, in their old lifestyle of transgressing the Mosaic law. Matthew 5:17 is where we find this one word stumbling block. Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. Okay, the Greek word that we get the word fulfill from in the English language is G4137. So there it is, folks. That one word stumbling block that believers have been taught to think that when Jesus said that he came to fulfill the law, that he ended it, that he abolished it, that he did away with it. Of course, for anyone to believe that, and I used to, because that's how I was raised. I was raised in a church that taught us that this is what the Messiah meant when he said that he came to fulfill it. And I was raised in not only a church that believed and taught that to us, but I was raised in a family that did the same thing. Okay, but of course, for anyone to believe that, they must ignore the majority of what our Jewish Messiah said in that same verse prior to the word fulfill, along with ignoring everything he said in the following verse 18 as well. And folks, when we have to ignore scripture to promote a certain theology and a certain belief, when we have to ignore scripture to do that, well, that tells you that that belief and that theology is false, because we should not have to ignore scripture. Okay, so that identifies that theology and belief system to be false. Back when I was being raised in the religion of Christianity, we didn't have many of these contemporary Bible versions available that we have today, but I really like how some of them render this particular verse. Okay, Matthew 5:17 in the Amplified, the classic version of the Amplified Bible. Do not think that I have come to do away with or undo the law of Moses or the prophets. I have come not to do away with or undo them, but to complete and fulfill them. Okay, and then the complete Jewish Bible. Don't think that I have come to abolish the Torah or the prophets. I have come not to abolish, but to complete. Okay, and then this is the reader's edition of the New International Version. And I don't know, I mean, there is a difference between the regular New International Version and the reader's edition of the New International Version. But anyway, I like how this one has this verse rendered. Do not think I have come to get rid of what is written in the law or the prophets. I have not come to do that. Instead, I have come to give full meaning to what is written. Okay, I like that. And then here in the International Standard Version, I like how they rendered it because they have both verses 17 and 18 together. Do not think that I have come to destroy the law or the prophets. I didn't come to destroy them, but to fulfill them, because I tell you with certainty that until heaven and earth disappear, not one letter or one stroke of a letter will disappear from the law until everything has been accomplished. Okay, folks, I've mentioned this before, and I will do so again here. Until we are walking around on the streets of gold in New Jerusalem, not everything will be accomplished just yet. Okay, and then this is the GW version here. Do not think that I came to abolish the Torah or the prophets. I did not come to abolish, but to fulfill everything in them that had been written about me. So, contrary to what we've been taught in the past, when we take into consideration what Yeshua said in verse 17 prior to the word fulfill, which is, do not think that I have come to abolish the Torah or the prophets. I did not come to abolish. Or what he further states in verse 18, which is, until heaven and earth passes away, not one jot or tittle will by no means pass from the Torah or the prophets. It is impossible to logically think with a rational mind that the word fulfill means to end, to abolish, or to do away with. Okay, let's look at the Strong's Concordance of the definition of the word fulfill. It is G4137, like I mentioned before. And it is this word right here. I've heard it pronounced play rahu, but however you want to pronounce that, the definition is of this word fulfill, G4137. The definition is to make full, to fill up, to fill to the full, to cause to abound, to furnish or supply liberally, to render full, to complete, to fill to the top, so that nothing shall be wanting, to full measure, fill to the brim, to consummate a number, to make complete in every particular, to render perfect. I like that one, to render perfect. To carry through to the end, to accomplish, to carry out, to carry into effect, bring to realization, realize, of matters of duty, to perform, to execute, of sayings, promises, prophecies, to bring to pass, to ratify, to accomplish. Okay, there is that word again, to accomplish. To fulfill. An example, to cause Elohim's will as made known in the Mosaic law to be obeyed as it should be, and Elohim's promises given through the prophets to receive fulfillment. I like that. Now, keep in mind, this is coming from the Strong's Concordance, and this is coming from a lawless Christian perspective. But they are being truthful to the definition of the Greek word plerahu that we get the English word fulfill from in Matthew 5:17. Additionally, here is additional definitions: to make replete, that is literally to cram like a net, level up, or to furnish, satisfy, execute, finish, verify, accomplish, complete, end, expire, fill, fulfill, full, fully preach, perfect, supply. Okay, so we know, even though there is the definition of end and expire, well, we know by the words of our Jewish Messiah previously in verse 17 that we are not to even think that he came to abolish or to end or to do away with the law or the prophets. And additionally, what he said in verse 18. So we know that even though we have the word end and expire and finish and satisfy, even though we have all these words that would seem to indicate that something came to an end, because of our Jewish Messiah's previous words in verse 17 prior to the word fulfill, and then what he additionally stated in verse 18, we know that these words do not apply to the word fulfill as stated in Matthew 5:17. Now, it's interesting to note that the same Greek word plerahu that we get the English word fulfill from was rendered as preached in Romans 15:19. There it is right there. Though mighty signs and wonders by the power of the Spirit of the Ruach HaKodesh of Elohim, so that from Jerusalem and round about unto, I don't know how to say that word, folks, so I'll have to leave that up to you, have fully preached. That's G4137, the same word that we get fulfill from in Matthew 5:17. Paul uses that same Greek word, and it came to us in the English as fully preached. Okay, so we have that. Then we have the same exact Greek word as accomplish in Luke chapter 9 and verse 31, who appeared in glory and spake of his decease while he should accomplish at Jerusalem. Okay, accomplish. Same Greek word, plerahu, that we get the word fulfill from in Matthew 5:17. And then the same Greek word plerahu as translated into the English in two places in Colossians as complete. And I won't read those, but there it is right there, Colossians 2:10, same Greek word plerahu, and right here in Colossians chapter 4 and verse 12, the same Greek word plerahu. Furthermore, it is impossible to logically think with a rational mind that the word fulfill means to end, to abolish, to do away with, when we have our Jewish Messiah instructing his followers then and now, further down in Matthew, specifically Matthew 23, verses 2 and 3, to obey the Mosaic law. Why would he instruct his followers to obey something that he came to abolish and do away with? I mean, we are getting way out there in the realm of mental instability when we try to apply logic and reason to this idea that the word fulfill means to abolish and do away with something. It simply does not pan out as being anywhere near the truth of what our Jewish Messiah meant in Matthew 5:17 by the word fulfilled. The first century Gentile converts to the faith in our Jewish Messiah, Yeshua, did not have to contend with this single word stumbling block because they were under the care of those who understood what Yeshua meant. This is precisely why we read in Acts chapter 13, verses 16, verse 26, verse 42, verse 44, chapter 14, verse 1, verse 27, chapter 15, verse 1, verse 3, verse 9, and verses 19 through 21 about these first century Gentiles going to the Jewish assemblies and congregations, learning about the Torah and the prophets and being taught what the Father said in them, could make the appropriate changes in their lifestyle that would cause them to come out of their old nature lifestyle of sin, come out of their old nature lifestyle of transgressing the Torah, the Mosaic law, and start walking in the newness of life by adopting a whole new lifestyle of walking in obedience to the Father's commands, instructions, teachings, and directions that are all contained in the Torah and the prophets. Now, before I close this out, let's read a few passages where the same exact word fulfill that we find in Matthew 5:17 is used and see if it makes any sense that the word means to bring an end to something or to do away with something or to abolish something. Okay, we go to Philippians chapter 2 and verse 2. Fulfill my joy by being like-minded, having the same love, being of one accord and one mind. Okay, then we go to Colossians chapter 1 and verse 25. Of which I became a minister according to the stewardship from Elohim, which was given to me for you to fulfill the word of Elohim. So when Paul says that he fulfilled the word of Elohim, does that mean that the word of Elohim was abolished or brought to an end or done away with? No, that's foolishness, folks. Okay, let's go to Second Thessalonians chapter 1 and verse 11. Therefore we also pray always for you that our Elohim would count you worthy of this calling and fulfill, same Greek word, pleirahu, G4137, and fulfill all the good pleasure of his goodness and the work of faith with power. All right, folks. Our Jewish Messiah, Yeshua, Scripture tells us that he is going to have cast into the lake of fire not only those who refuse to obey the Mosaic law, the Torah, but those who continue to establish this stumbling block in the minds of the followers of our Jewish Messiah, Yeshua, by teaching them the incorrect meaning of what the word fulfill used in Matthew 5:17 really means. And this is where we have the evidence right here that our Jewish Messiah is going to have these people thrown into the lake of fire. Matthew 13:40 through 43. Then as the darnel, the tares, is gathered and is consumed in the fire, so it will be at the completion of this age. And folks, this is right around the corner. The Son of Man, speaking of our Jewish Messiah, Yeshua, will send forth his angels, and they will gather out of his kingdom all the stumbling blocks and those who practice lawlessness. Okay, stumbling blocks, these are things that cause people to sin, like saying that the word fulfill means that the Mosaic law has been abolished, so we do not have to obey it. That is a stumbling block. And those who practice lawlessness, this is referring to the lawless Christians of today who refuse to walk in obedience to the Mosaic law. And they, the angels, will throw them into the furnace of fire. There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Then the righteous ones, okay, who are the righteous ones? These are the ones who are in right standing with the Father because they obey the Mosaic law, the Torah. These are the righteous ones. Will shine out like the sun in the kingdom of their Father. The one having ears to hear, let him hear. Okay, and this is what I hope you folks are able to do today. I hope that you are able to hear what the scriptures are speaking to you. Okay, folks, for those of you who may still be a part of the false religion of lawless Christianity, and make no doubt about it, it is a false religion. And you can feel in your heart that the Father is trying to get you to come out of all that and to start walking in the light of His Word. I hope this word study was helpful in equipping you to be able to answer with confidence. Those who try to tell you that the word fulfill, as used in Matthew 5:17, means that the law of Moses has been abolished and done away with, and that we do not need to walk in obedience to it. Our Jewish Messiah, Yeshua, came to fully preach the Torah and the prophets. He came to fulfill everything that had been written about him in the Torah and prophets. He came to complete the Torah and prophets, not end them, not abolish them, not do away with them. He came to accomplish everything concerning himself that had been written in the Torah and prophets. He came to teach his followers then and now the deeper meaning of what had been written in the Torah and prophets. And he came to teach his followers then and now the spiritual application of what had been written in the Torah and the prophets. Okay, folks, I will leave it here for today, and I hope and pray that this word study commentary number 190 was helpful to someone. I love you guys, and I appreciate you being here and watching these videos that I have been called by the Father to present to you for your consideration. If you are led by the Father to do so, please help me get the truth of His Word out there by sharing these videos with your family members and friends who may need to hear what is being presented here. I look forward to being with you again, Father willing, in our next Hidden Scriptures Word Study Commentary. May Yah richly bless you and yours, and I hope to be with you again. Shalom.